Hello and welcome everyone to the daily news analysis of 10th of January 2024. तो important articles one by one देख लेते हैं पहले. Boeing 737 Max 8 of an Indian airline had missing component. Page number 1. Majority of Indian cities far from clean air target. Then India and UK signs two deals during defense minister's visit. Rapid rise in web blocking orders shows RTI replay. Then growth sans demand. A look at Project Tiger 50 years on. World came close to critical 1.5 degrees Celsius limit in 2023. Anxiety over food prices has likely eased since December. First article है Boeing 737 Max 8 of an Indian airline had missing component. An Indian airline discovered that a washer in the rudder control system of a Boeing 737 Max 8 plane was missing after the aircraft marker order a global inspection of Max family of aircraft last month. The Directorate General of Civil Aviation said on Tuesday, hours after reports emerged that two US carrier United Airlines and Alaska Airlines found loose bolts on their Max 9 block doors. Max 8 and 9 are variant of Boeing 737 Max series. Rectifications recommended by Boeing was carried out before clearing the aircraft for flight operation. The DGCA said it did not name the Indian airlines that reported the missing washer. Three Indian airlines, Alaska Air, SpiceJet, and Air India Expresses, operate 737 MAX 8 plans one-time inspection. 39 of the 40 Max 8 in service in India have been inspected. An aircraft remains to be examined. The Boeing advisory issued late December for one-time inspection of a 737 MAX plan for possible loose hardware came after one of its airlines customers informed it of a missing nut and washer in the art radar quadrant. During a routine maintenance check a week later, the Max family of aircraft found itself in yet another safety crisis after a plug door on a Boeing 737 Max 9 plane of Alaska Airlines blew out mid-flight while it was headed to Ontario in California from Poland in Oregon. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board is investigating whether four bolts that were supposed to hold the plane panel in the place were missing when the plane took off. But both airlines have grounded their MAX planes and cancelled hundreds of flights. Alaska has 65 MAX 9 planes and United has 78. Reports suggest that United Airlines has found loose bolts on as many as 10 aircrafts. Alaska Airlines said in a statement on Monday that initial reports from our technician indicate hard some loose hardware was visible on some aircraft. Following the US incidents, the Indian regulator also asked domestic airlines to check emergency door on aircraft. The inspection did not yield any untoward findings. Indian Airlines only have Max 8 and aircraft and not the Max 9 that have been grounded in the US. Boeing in a statement said, "We are committed to ensuring every Boeing airplane meets design specification and the highest safety and quality standards. We regret the impact this has had on our customers and their passengers." The next article है majority of Indian cities far from clean air targets has studies. The center's ambitious attempt to improve air quality in some Indian India's most polluted cities suggest that a majority of Indian cities are far from making significant progress. In 49 cities whose particulate matters numbers were consistently available for 5 years, 27 showed a decline in PM 2.5, considered the most dangerous grade of pollutant, while only 4 had met or exceeded the targeted decline according to the analysis by Respire Living Science and Climate Trends released early on Wednesday. The stated goal on the 9,631 crore rupees National Clean Air Program (NCAP) is to reduce average particulate matter concentration 40% by 2026 compared to 2017 in 131 cities. When the program was initiated, the aim was to cut pollution 20 to 40% by 2024 in these cities, but this goalpost was later shifted to 26. While the deadline is still 3 years away, some of India's biggest cities are reporting marginal declines or even increasing pollution loads. Delhi, for instance, has seen average annual 2.5 levels decline only 5.9%. Navi Mumbai, a suburb of Mumbai, has been a 46% rise in PM 2.5 levels among the cities that showed a sharp decline in 2.5 from 2019 to 23, where Varanasi with a 72% average reduction in the PM 2.5 levels and 69 reduction in PM 10 levels. Quality monitors. Another factor that significantly influence annual concentration of pollutants in a city is the number and spread of continuous ambient air quality monitors. The devices that track fluctuations in chemical pollutants through the day. While cities such as Mumbai, Delhi have several such stations spread across the breadth of cities to account for pollution in diverse areas. Most Indian cities have only a handful. Only 4 of the 92 cities part of the analysis have more than 10 such stations. Varanasi in 2019 had only one such station, which only worked 24% of the time, whereas by 2024 it has 4 stations that have been operational all days. Majority of cities have less than 5 stations. Whether cities actions have actually translated to improvement in the air quality is as yet unclear. The National Clean Air Pollution Program has made noteworthy progress, witnessing notable reduction in PM 2.5 and PM10 levels in top polluted cities. Despite these positive strides, persistent challenges exist, with some urban areas facing an uptick in pollution concentration, said Arti Khosla, Director Climate Trends. The next article, India-UK signs two deals during Defence Ministers' visit. India and the United Kingdom on Tuesday signed a memorandum of understanding for bilateral interaction, cadet exchange program, and a letter of arrangement on defence collaboration in research and development. These were signed after bilateral talks between Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his British counterpart Grant Shapps in London. This is the first visit by an Indian defence minister to UK in over 2 decades. The last was by George Fernandes in 2002. Industrial cooperation had an excellent meeting with UK Defence Minister Grant Shapps. We reviewed the full range of India-UK defence relations. We had fruitful discussions on a wide range of issues pertaining to defence cooperation, security, and also on enhancing defence industrial cooperations. Mr. Singh has said on X about his 2-day visit. Both ministers discussed a range of defence, security, and cooperation matters, with particular emphasis on enhancing defense industrial collaborations. A defense ministry statement said. Shared goals. Mr. Shapps stressed that the relationship between the UK and India was not transitional, and both countries were natural partners with many commonalities and shared goals and ministry said the LOA on R&D was signed between the Defence Research and Development Organization and the UK Defence Science and Technology Laboratory. These documents will provide impetus to the people-to-people exchanges, particularly among the youth and larger area of defence research collaboration between the two countries, the ministry said. Mr. Singh began his London engagement by paying floral tribute to Mahatma Gandhi at his statue at Tavistock Square. He was presented a ceremonial guard of honor at the Horse Guard Parade Ground before the meeting with his UK counterpart. The next article, a rapid rise in web blocking order shows RTI reply. Website blocking orders have grown over a hundredfold from 2013 to October 2023, shows a reply to a right to information application filed by the Bihar-based activist Kanhaiya Kumar. Mr. Kumar obtained statistics on website and online post blocking orders issued under Section 69A of the Information Technology Act 2000. The Union government issued 62 such orders in 2013 and in 2023 6,954 till October. This comes even as the Department of Telecommunication in December directed Internet service providers to compile Internet Protocol address of servers in India to facilitate blocking them quickly. Fall in data price. The increase in blocking orders has coincides with a massive uptick in the internet use, specifically since mobile data prices fell dramatically in 2016. The data reflect blocking orders sent the social media and content farms for specific pages, profiles, and videos. However, the IT ministers refused to provide a breakdown to these statistics, citing the confidentiality clause in the rules. Most of the web pages blocked are likely to be individual posts, videos, or profiles. In 2022, the Union government said in response to a parliamentary query that 228 websites were blocked when other orders, such as those sent directly to social media and online content providers, are factored in. The number for that year is 6,775. Section 69A of the IT Act allows the Union government to block content online in the interest of sovereignty and integrity of India, decline defense of India, security of the state, friendly relations with foreign states, or public orders, or for preventing incitement to the commission of any cognizable offence. A list of IP addresses, location of web application servers need to be traced on immediate basis as and when required, or in case they are not complying with the laws of the land, or they are required to be blocked as per court orders, etc. The DOT said in its December 20 order. Two persons with experience in how ISPs are run said these rules might be impractical and difficult to implement. The scale of this ask is enormous, said Deepak Maheshwari, from former secretary at the ISP Association of India. IP addresses are often purchased in bulk and by data centers providers and web hosting firms, and these entities may have corporate security concerns on having these IP addresses declared to ISP, he said. Another industry expert with over a decade of experience of internet networking technology, who did not want to be named, said website blocking had become much harder due to evolution in the encryption technology used by web browsers and firms, increasingly blurring the level of visibility that internet providers have on their users' activity. A single IP address can be linked to thousands of websites. The expert said telecom operators are just dumb pipes. He added, if the DOT wanted more convenience in blocking websites, he suggested they would have to collaborate with content delivery network who actually distribute much of the internet content such as Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud and Cloudflare. Growth sans demand. Government spending seems to be propping up growth. The first advance estimates of national income for the current fiscal year present a picture of an economy on steroid of government spending, while the NSO has made bold to project real GDP growth marginally quickening to a 7.3% pace from 2022-2023. 7.2% scrutiny of sectoral output figures that together forms the gross value added and the demand data reflected in expenditure numbers posit an economy still searching for durable drivers of consumption-led growth, while overall GVA growth is seen slowing to 6.9% from the preceding fiscal 7%. The agriculture, livestock, forestry and fishing sector, the bedrock of rural economy, one of the largest provider of work and the second largest generator of economic value outside the services economy, will see output expanding by 1.8%, the slowest in 8 years and less than half of the 2022-23 say 4% pace. And even this pace of growth may be optimistic given the estimated shortfall in Kharif output and lag in Rabi sowing, particularly in paddy and pulses. Equally, is the second largest component of the services economy. The omnibus trade, hotel, transport, communication, and broadcasting sector, also a large provider of jobs, is estimated to witness more than a halving in the pace of growth to 6.3% from 14% last fiscal year. To the estimates reflect the trend evident in the NSO's November 30 release of second quarter GDP estimates and underscore the underlying loss of momentum in the post-pandemic rebound in services. On the demand side, private final consumption expenditure, the largest component of GDP with a share that till 2 decades ago exceeded 60%, is projected to log its slowest non-pandemic year. Expansion is more than 20 years at 4.4%. Private consumption spending growth is estimated to have been at its slowest EBB since the pandemic, and accompanying lockdown caused spending to contract by more than 5% in 2020 or 21, and just half of 22-23 is 7.5% pace. With the rural economy struggling under the impact of the monsoon baggage and the resultant weakness in from output, demand for producer of a range of goods from soaps and detergent to packaged food and two-wheelers is yet to regain any kind of vigor in the hinterland. Gross fixed capital formation, which includes government capital spending, remains the main bright spot and driver of momentum. The NSO pegs a CFCF growing 10.3% to reach a record 34.9% share of GDP this fiscal. With the general election just ahead, policymakers face an unavailable choice: keep the spending spigot fully open to prop up growth at the risk of fiscal slippage, or tighten the purse strings and risk further loss of momentum. The next study will look at Project Tiger 50 years on. In 1973, Project Tiger introduced India's Tiger Reserve, whose status has since rapidly ascended from an administrative category constituted and administered by the forest bureaucracy. Tiger reserves became a statutory category in 2006. Today, they are held worldwide as India's conservation success story, especially in this age of climate change. The origin of Project Tiger in 1972, India enacted the Wildlife Protection Act which introduced new species within notified forest called national parks, where the rights of forest dwellers were removed and vested with the state government. It also created wild wildlife sanctuaries where only some permitted rights could be exercised. Project Tiger was the result of this development. There were nine tiger reserves in 1973, over 9,115 square kilometer. Today there are 54 in the 18 states, occupying 78,135.956 square kilometer. Critical tiger habitat (CTH) cover 42,913.37 square kilometer or 26% of the area under national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. As of 2022, the camera trap method indicated there were 3,167 to 3,925 tigers in India. The government created the CTAs to vouchsafe a part of the India's forest for tiger-centric agendas. Beyond each CTAs would be a buffer area, a mix of forest and non-forest land. But even though the latter had an inclusive, people-oriented agenda, the overall forest conservation approach to protecting tigers displaced people who had coexisted with the tigers for generations. A change of operation in 2005, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh appointed a five-member tiger task force to track the mystery of vanishing tigers. Despite spending huge money on them, they found that the approach of using guns, guards, and fences not effective in protecting tigers, and then that the increasing conflict between the forest and wildlife bureaucracy and those who coexist with the tiger was a recipe for disaster. The group asserted that the protection of a tiger is inseparable from the protection of the forest in reforms in, but this project protection of these forest is itself inseparable from the fortune of the people who in India inhabit forest areas. So in September 2006, Parliament amended the WLPA to create the National Tiger Conservation Authority and a conservation plan to ensure that CTAs remained inviolate. The act only modified forest dwellers use of the forest, mostly tribals, and planned to relocate them if required. 4 months later, the government also enacted the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of Forest Rights Act 2006, also known as FRA. The FRA recognized all customary and traditional forest rights on forest land, including in the tiger reserves. Under the Act, the habitation level Gram Sabha was democratically determined and demarcate the forest rights that the FRA recognized. The Gram Sabha became the authority to protect, conserve, and manage forests, wildlife, and biodiversity within their customary and traditional boundaries. As a result, the FRA secured the livelihood of at least 20 crore Indians in 1.79 lakh villages. Importantly, the FRA introduced a critical wildlife habitat like the CTH under WLPA with one difference. Once a CWH has been notified, it could not be diverted for non-forest purposes. The government planned to notify the FRA rules on January 1, 2009 and operationalize the act, but on November 16, 2007, the NTCA gave the chief wildlife wardens 13 days to submit a proposal to delineate city age of around 8,800 to 1,000 square kilometer each. As a result, the government ended up notifying 26 tiger reserves in 12 states as per Section 38B of the WLPA without complying with its provisions of the 25,548.54 square kilometers, thus notified 91.77 encompassed CTH and except for Similipal in Odisha, the CTH had no buffer area. They were added in 2012 after the Supreme Court wrapped the NTCA and set it a 3-month deadline today. India bears the brunt of this error. India's basis for CTAs originally tiger reserves were to be created in a democratic process and on the basis of scientific and objective criteria. The tiger conservation plan was similarly required to ensure the agricultural livelihood development and other interests of the people living in the tiger-bearing forest or a tiger reserve. The basis of the CTH evidence of the irreversible damage to wildlife that human activity has wrought with this in the Indian government has a responsibility to ascertain whether forest dwellers and tiger could reasonably coexist. If not, it needs to modify the forest dwellers' rights accordingly and relocate them if necessary. Only then can a CTH be established without affecting the rights of scheduled tribes or such forest dwellers. Similarly, the buffer area outside the CTH is to promote human-animal coexistence while recognizing the livelihood, development, social and cultural rights of the local people. Its geographical limits are to be determined on the basis of objective criteria with inputs from the concerned Gram Sabha as well as an expert committee. The problem is that all of the India's tiger reserves have been notified without meeting these requirements. The government has not obtained informed consent from the forest dwelling scheduled the tribes, communities and other traditional communities. The result, both tigers and forest dwellers have been trapped in a tough spot. Relocation and rehabilitations. The WLPA only allows voluntary relocation on mutually agreed terms and conditions satisfying requirements in the law. Once the FRA recognizes people's rights under it, the state inquiries acquires those rights according to the terms of rights to fair compensation on and transparency in land acquisition, rehabilitations and resettlement. LARRA Act 2013 number relocation can happen without the consent of the affected communities. The LARR also requires the rehabilitation package to provide financial compensation as well as secure livelihood re- uh, to those relocated. Under the LARR. The government needs to compensate relocated people by paying them twice the market value of the land. The value of assets attached to the land, including areas and plants, a subsistence allowance for a year, and a one-time financial assistance for relocations. It also needs to provide building material belonging cattle and a one-time resettlement allowance. Each family is to be provided a land and a house. The resettlement plan also includes the provision of alternative fuels, fodder, and non-timber forest produce resources on non-forest land, electric connection, roads, drainage, and sanitation, safe drinking water, water for cattle, grazing land, ration shops, panchayat buildings, post office, a seed cum fertilizer storage facility, basic irrigation, burial or cremation ground, Anganwadis, school, health centers, veterinary service centers, community centers, places of worship, and separate land for tribal institutions. However, the union and state government have limited themselves to provisions in 2008 revised guidelines for ongoing centrally sponsored schemes of Project Tiger 2008 and subsequent guidelines. This entails a compensation of 10 lakh rupees revised in April 2021 to 15 lakh rupees as a cash or relocation rehabilitation package. This is not substitute for the total compensation resettlement and relocation as required by the law. As of 2018, there were to 2,808 villages in CTAs. The Union Environment Ministry stated in the Lok Sabha that as on July 12, 2019, there were 57,386 families in these CTAs, of which 42,398 remained inside 50 tiger reserves. Tigers versus people. Tiger reserves experience the most resistance to the recognition of forest rights. In March 2017, the NTCA refused to recognize rights under FRA in the CTAs in the absence of guidelines for notification of critical wildlife habitat, which the Environment Ministry was to issue. Both the WLPA and FRA require forest dwellers' rights to be recognized inside CTAs. The Environment Ministry issued the guidelines in January 2018, and NTCA withdrew the ban order 2 months later. FRA provides for 13 basic government public utilities as described earlier, each of which when fell up to 75 trees over forest and land smaller than 1 hectare. The Gram Sabha's consent is mandatory for such diversions of land, but on October 28, 2020, the Environment Ministry insisted that the National Board for Wildlife, a statutory body under WLPA, must issue a wildlife clearance if these diversions are from national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. The law, however, only requires such clearances for projects that also require these public utilities are. With a further increase in tigers and tiger reserves and tiger corridors to link them up, India's tiger terrain is said to become a hotspot for conflict. Friends, this is all for today, and we will meet from tomorrow onwards with new news articles from the Hindu newspaper which are relevant from UPSC perspective. So, till then, keep studying and thank you.